Alex had never been good at math. It wasn't that he lacked intelligence. On the contrary, he excelled in every subject except for the numbers and equations that seemed to come alive in a way he couldn't comprehend. But even after weeks of tutoring, he still found himself lost in the complexity of algebra and trigonometry. That's when he first noticed her. Lily. Lily was the tutor who always seemed to have a quiet energy about her, something that drew people in. Her dark, wavy hair framed a face that was often lit with a smile that could make anyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. She had a way of making math seem almost approachable. And for Alex, that was nothing short of a miracle. The first time they were paired together, he was nervous. Being shy by nature, Alex didn't know how to carry on a conversation with someone like Lily. But she didn't judge him. She simply asked questions, making him feel like there was no wrong answer. Every time he stumbled over a problem, she was there to patiently guide him through it, breaking it down into simpler steps until it clicked. Her patience impressed him. More than that, it made him feel like he wasn't alone in his struggles. He had always felt like the odd one out at school, but Lily's calm presence made him feel heard. And soon, he found himself looking forward to those late afternoons when the tutoring sessions would begin. As weeks went by, their interactions became more comfortable. Alex started to make progress in his studies. His grades improved, but something else was growing too, something he wasn't prepared for. It started small, a compliment here, a laugh there. Sometimes, Lily would touch his shoulder briefly to emphasize a point, and his heart would race. He knew it wasn't intentional, she was simply being kind, but to him, it felt like something more. He couldn't help but wonder if she ever saw him as more than just a student. One day, while discussing an especially challenging math problem, Alex made an offhand comment about how he always felt like he was invisible at school. Lily paused, looking at him with a thoughtful expression. "I don't think you're invisible at all, Alex," she said quietly. "In fact, I think you're a lot more capable than you give yourself credit for." Her words made his chest tighten. He hadn't expected her to say that. They were only tutor and student, but it felt like she saw something in him that no one else had ever noticed before. For the first time, Alex felt like he mattered. As Alex's feelings for Lily deepened, so did his internal conflict. He didn't want to cross any boundaries. He knew she was his tutor, and that meant their relationship should remain professional. But every time she looked at him with that gentle smile, his resolve wavered. He found himself thinking about her when he should have been studying, wondering what it would be like to spend time with her outside of the tutoring sessions. One evening, as the sun began to set, Alex stayed late after a particularly challenging session. Most of the other students had already left, and the tutoring center was quiet. Lily, noticing that Alex hadn't packed up his things, walked over. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft. Alex hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, I think I need a bit more help with this." He gestured to the problem on the whiteboard. But truthfully, it wasn't the math he was struggling with at that moment. It was his emotions. Lily walked over and stood beside him. "You've been doing great, Alex," she said, her voice warm and encouraging. "Sometimes it just takes a little more time for things to click." Her proximity made Alex's heart race. He took a deep breath. "Lily, can I ask you something?" She turned to him, a curious look in her eyes. "Of course." For a moment, he hesitated, unsure if he should speak the words that had been on his mind for weeks. But there was something about the way she was looking at him, something that felt safe, like he wasn't going to be judged. "I don't know if this is weird, but I've been feeling like there's something between us. I know you're my tutor, and I don't want to make things awkward, but I think I might have feelings for you." Lily's expression softened, and she took a step back, her gaze thoughtful. "Alex," she began gently, "I really appreciate your honesty, but I think it's important to remember that I'm here to help you with your studies, and right now, I'm in the role of your tutor. Relationships, well, they can be complicated, especially in a setting like this." Alex felt a pang in his chest. He had expected something along these lines, but hearing it out loud made it feel real. He nodded, looking down at his feet. "I get it. I don't want to make things uncomfortable." Lily smiled softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You haven't. You're a great student, Alex, and I respect you for being so open, but we need to keep things professional. I don't want you to feel like you can't talk to me, though." Her words helped ease some of the tension, but Alex still felt conflicted. He had opened up, but now there was a space between them, a space he didn't know how to navigate. Weeks passed, and things shifted between them, but not in the way Alex had expected. As Lily had suggested, they maintained a professional boundary, but something had changed. Alex no longer felt invisible in her presence. She still treated him with kindness, and their study sessions continued with the same warmth, albeit with a quiet undercurrent of understanding. In the weeks that followed, Alex grew more confident, not just in his math skills but in his own self-worth. Lily's encouragement had helped him see that he was capable of more than he had realized, and although he still carried a quiet affection for her, he began to recognize that their relationship could be meaningful without crossing any lines. One afternoon, just before the start of a new tutoring session, Lily approached him with a small smile. "Alex, I just wanted to let you know how proud I am of how far you've come. You're not just improving in math, you're growing as a person, too." Alex smiled back, feeling a sense of pride he hadn't experienced before. "Thanks, Lily. That means a lot to me." Lily's smile widened, and for a moment, their eyes met in a shared understanding. There was something unspoken between them, a bond that neither of them had to label. And for the first time, Alex realized that sometimes the most important lessons aren't about equations or formulas. They're about learning to trust, to grow, and to appreciate the connections we make with others. As the school year came to an end, Alex passed his final math exam with flying colors, a testament to the hard work and dedication he'd put into his studies. But the real victory, he realized, was the personal growth he'd experienced over the course of the tutoring sessions. Lily had been there, guiding him not just through his studies but through the ups and downs of his teenage years. Though they had never pursued anything beyond the boundaries of their professional relationship, Alex left the tutoring center that summer with a new sense of confidence and an appreciation for the subtle lessons life had to offer. He still admired Lily, but more than that, he respected her as someone who had helped him believe in himself. And as he walked away from the tutoring center that last day, Alex realized that love, like learning, wasn't always about a grand gesture. Sometimes, it was about the quiet moments of understanding, the little acts of kindness, and the respect we show each other along the way. Summer break had arrived, and the quiet routine of tutoring sessions at the center came to a halt. The classrooms that had been filled with the energy of students now stood silent, the whiteboards waiting to be erased, the chairs stacked high against the walls. Alex had left for the summer, but not before a final tutoring session with Lily, a session that had been more about saying goodbye than solving any math problems. As the final bell rang and the students left for the day, Lily gathered her things. Her office was quiet, the soft hum of the ceiling fan the only sound. She glanced out the window, thinking of the many students she had worked with over the past year. Among them, Alex stood out, not just because of his progress in math, but because of the quiet determination he had shown. She had always seen potential in him, but it wasn't until the end of their tutoring sessions that she realized how much she had come to admire him. He was different from the other students. There was something about his humility, his willingness to learn, that had made him more than just a student to her. There had been a connection, yes, but Lily had held firm to the professional distance that had always defined their relationship. And yet, in those final moments together, she felt a bittersweet twinge as Alex said his goodbyes. "Thank you, Lily," he had said with sincerity. "You've helped me more than you'll ever know." Lily had smiled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm proud of how far you've come, Alex. You've worked hard, and it shows. Just remember, math is only one part of who you are." Alex had nodded, a soft smile playing on his lips. "I'll remember that." The weeks passed in a gentle blur. Alex spent his summer vacation working part-time at a local cafe and hanging out with friends. But there was always a small part of him that missed the tutoring sessions. It wasn't just the math, it was the connection with Lily. He had spent so many months in that small room, quietly absorbed in learning, yet in the back of his mind, a part of him had always hoped for something more. He thought about her often, wondering what she was doing, if she was thinking of him too. But Alex knew better than to contact her. After all, she had made it clear that their relationship needed to remain professional. He respected that. It didn't stop him from wishing things had turned out differently. One evening, Alex found himself scrolling through his phone when he saw a message from an unknown number. It was a text from Lily. "Hey, Alex, it's Lily. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to check in and see how things are going with you. Let me know if you ever want to chat. Take care." Alex's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't expected to hear from her. A mixture of excitement and nervousness bubbled inside him. He hesitated for a moment, unsure how to respond. But then, he typed back, "Hi, Lily, it's great to hear from you. Things are going well. I'm just taking it easy this summer. How about you? They exchanged a few more texts, catching up on what they had been up to. It was nothing more than casual conversation at first, but there was an undercurrent of something deeper in their words. They talked about books, movies, and their shared love of quiet afternoons with a cup of coffee. Alex found himself smiling at the simplicity of it all, realizing that this was more than just a polite check-in. It was something real. As the conversation continued, Lily asked, "So, have you thought about what you want to do next year? You've got some time to figure it out, but I'm curious." Alex felt a flutter in his chest. He had always been so focused on the present, on getting through his studies, that he hadn't given much thought to the future. But now, in this moment, he realized something. He wanted to do more than just succeed academically. He wanted to live fully, to explore new experiences. He thought of Lily's words, how she had always encouraged him to be more than just his grades. "I don't know yet," he typed back, "but I've been thinking a lot about doing something creative, maybe photography or design. I just want to see where it takes me." Lily's response was quick and encouraging. "I think that's amazing, Alex. You've always had a creative spark. I'm sure you'll do great." The days stretched on, and as summer wore down, Alex found himself back at school. It was a new year, and a new chapter, but this time, something felt different. He was more confident, more assured of his own abilities, and far less focused on impressing others. One afternoon, a few weeks into the semester, Alex found himself at the tutoring center again. He hadn't planned on it, but after a particularly tough calculus test, he realized he could use some extra help. When he entered the center, his heart skipped when he saw her, Lily, sitting behind the desk, flipping through some notes. "Alex," she said with a bright smile, looking up, "I didn't expect to see you here." Yeah, I thought I could use a little help," Alex said, feeling a sudden rush of nerves. It wasn't just about the math anymore. It was about being in the same room as her again. "I'm glad you came by," Lily said, her voice warm. "Let's see what we can work through. You've come a long way since we last worked together." Alex smiled, grateful for her continued encouragement. He sat down at the table, and they began to work through the problems. There was a certain comfort in her presence, a familiarity that made everything feel easy, and as they worked, Alex couldn't help but feel the same sense of connection that had been there all those months ago. But this time, he felt different, stronger, more at peace with who he was. As the session came to a close, Alex realized something important. He didn't need to chase after something that wasn't meant to be. He didn't need to force anything with Lily. What mattered was that they had respect for each other, and that was more than enough. Before he left, Lily placed a hand on his shoulder, just as she had so many times before. "You're doing great, Alex. I'm proud of you." He smiled, a genuine smile this time, full of gratitude and understanding. "Thanks, Lily. I think I'm starting to figure things out." And as he walked out of the tutoring center, Alex realized that the most important lessons weren't found in textbooks or lectures. They were in the quiet moments of understanding, the personal growth, and the relationships we build along the way. As the months passed, Alex's life continued to evolve. He pursued his interest in photography, eventually deciding to major in it when he graduated. His grades remained strong, but now his focus was on the future, on the world of possibilities waiting for him beyond school. Though his feelings for Lily had faded, the lessons she had taught him about perseverance, respect, and believing in oneself stayed with him. He found himself reconnecting with friends, taking risks in his personal life, and pushing himself toward the things he truly cared about. And as for Lily, she remained a part of his life in a way that felt genuine and real, but no longer defined by the boundaries of tutor and student. She had taught him far more than math. She had taught him how to see the world with new eyes, to trust in his own path. The story of Alex and Lily wasn't one of grand romance, but it was one of deep respect and personal growth. And in the end, that was all either of them truly needed. Absolutely. Let's continue to build on the story with a focus on Alex's journey, his personal growth, and his evolving relationship with Lily as they move forward in life. Here's the next part. A lesson in love, continued. As the months went by, Alex found himself caught between two worlds, the world of academia and the world of creativity. His passion for photography had grown steadily since that summer. He'd spent his days exploring the town, capturing the beauty in the simple moments that so many people overlooked. The fleeting light of a sunset, the laughter of children playing, the shadows of trees stretching across a quiet street. These images filled his camera lens and his heart. But school wasn't quite as satisfying. While his grades continued to improve and his academic performance was solid, Alex began to feel a growing disconnect between what he was learning and what he truly wanted to do. He found himself daydreaming about photography during class, losing focus as his mind wandered to ideas for new projects. It wasn't until one afternoon, during a routine visit to the tutoring center, that Alex realized what had been missing all along. It was a Saturday, and the tutoring center was quieter than usual. Alex walked in, feeling a sense of nostalgia for the old space, the familiar smell of books and markers. He had returned to the center not for extra math help, but because he was looking for guidance in a different area, his future. And though he had learned so much on his own, one person stood out in his mind as someone who had always believed in him: Lily. She was sitting at her desk, scribbling notes for an upcoming session with another student. When she looked up and saw Alex, her face lit up with recognition. "Alex, it's good to see you again. What brings you here today?" Her voice was warm, her smile genuine. "I need some advice," Alex said, his voice a little uncertain. He'd spent a lot of time thinking about his future, and now that he was at the point where he needed to make some decisions, he wasn't entirely sure where to turn. Lily raised an eyebrow. "Advice? On what?" "Photography," Alex said, shifting on his feet. "I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I want to pursue it seriously, but I'm not sure how to make that leap." Lily nodded thoughtfully, taking a moment to look at him. "It's not an easy decision, but it's a brave one," she said. "I think it's great that you're following something you're passionate about. Photography can be a really fulfilling career if you commit to it. What's holding you back?" Alex exhaled, his shoulders slumping. "I guess it's the fear of failing, the fear of not being good enough. Everyone expects me to stick with something more practical. It's like I'm not sure if I can make it on my own." Lily smiled, a look of understanding in her eyes. "Alex, I've seen the work you've done. Your photos have a way of capturing life in a way that most people miss. You have a gift. The only thing you need to do is take that leap and trust yourself." Her words resonated deeply with him, the encouragement echoing in his heart. Over the past year, she had become a mentor to him, not just in terms of academics, but in life. She had believed in him before he had truly believed in himself. "I guess I needed to hear that," Alex said quietly. "Thanks, Lily." Lily gave him a small, encouraging smile. "You're welcome. And remember, the path to success isn't always straightforward. Don't be afraid to take risks. That's where the growth happens." Alex stood there for a moment, absorbing her words. He had come to the tutoring center for guidance, but in that moment, he realized that what Lily had given him wasn't just advice, it was reassurance. She had reminded him that it was okay to follow his heart, to pursue what he truly wanted, even if it meant stepping out of his comfort zone. The weeks that followed were filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Alex enrolled in a local photography course, determined to learn the technical aspects of the craft while continuing to work on his personal projects. He spent his free time exploring new places with his camera, capturing the world through his lens in a way that felt both exhilarating and grounding. One evening, he decided to put together a portfolio of his work. It wasn't for school or for anyone else's approval. It was for him. He wanted to see how far he'd come, to understand the journey he had been on. As he compiled the images, he realized just how much he had grown, not only as a photographer, but as a person. One of his favorite images was a portrait he'd taken of a quiet street at dawn, the soft light filtering through the trees. It reminded him of a time when he had felt unsure of himself, when everything seemed foggy and distant. But now, with each photo he took, it was as if the world was becoming clearer. He was beginning to see his path, and it was more vibrant than he had ever imagined. Chapter 13. A new chapter. As the semester came to a close, Alex found himself at a crossroads. His academic journey was far from over, but his heart was no longer fully invested in it. He had decided that, after graduation, he would pursue photography full-time. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he felt more confident than ever that he was making the right choice. Before he could move forward, however, there was one more conversation he needed to have. It was a cool evening in early spring when Alex found himself back at the tutoring center. He had decided to drop by to thank Lily for all her help, not just with his studies, but with his life. She had guided him, supported him, and helped him realize his potential. It was time to say goodbye, to the center and to the person who had meant so much to him. Lily was sitting at her desk, as usual, when Alex entered. When she looked up, her expression softened in recognition. "Hey, Alex, what's up?" she asked, setting her papers down. "I just wanted to say thank you," Alex said, his voice steady but filled with gratitude. "For everything. For helping me. For believing in me. For being there. I know I wouldn't be where I am without you." Lily smiled, a bit of emotion creeping into her voice. "I've always believed in you, Alex. You've worked hard to get where you are, and I know you're going to do amazing things with photography." Alex paused, looking down at his feet for a moment before meeting her gaze again. "I'm still scared, though. I don't know what the future holds, and it's hard not to worry about failing. But I think I'm ready to take that leap. I've decided to pursue photography, and I'm going to make it my career." Lily's eyes sparkled with pride. "I'm proud of you. I knew you'd figure it out. It's not about being perfect. It's about finding what makes you happy. And you've done that." For a moment, they simply stood there, letting the words hang in the air between them. It wasn't the kind of goodbye filled with grand gestures. It was more subtle, more meaningful. It was a farewell to one chapter, but also a quiet acknowledgement of the journey they had shared. "Thank you, Lily," Alex said again, his voice full of warmth. "You're welcome, Alex," she replied with a smile that spoke volumes. "And remember, don't stop chasing your dreams." With that, Alex left the tutoring center for the last time, stepping out into the world that awaited him. He didn't know exactly where his photography journey would take him, but for the first time, he felt ready to embrace it with everything he had. Epilogue: the journey ahead. Months later, Alex was working as a freelance photographer, capturing moments for clients, friends, and his own personal projects. His work began to gain attention, and he found himself published in local galleries and publications. There were still moments of doubt, moments when he wondered if he was making the right choice, but those moments were fewer and farther between. Through it all, Alex remembered Lily's words, "Don't stop chasing your dreams," and he didn't.